trying to recreate how ancient people made their pottery and recreate that technology. Because as archaeologists, we get the finished product, often broken, and we have to figure out how it was made and what that means to those people. So we make a lot of guesses, a lot of hypotheses, and it's important for us to actually engage with how it could be made so that we can figure out how accurate our ideas about what's going on in the past are. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and the first step is getting our clay source. So here we are actually down by the river, and it's kind of cool. You can see this river, because it's often dry and then water just rushes down it, a lot of what's called down cutting happens. So essentially the surface of this area is up above us where we were standing before, and it's quite a few meters up there. Sediment, but also cuts through stuff that already exists, so we get beautiful walls of dirt like this guy here. So this is the kind of place that we want to be harvesting clay from. Couple of considerations. Number one, because it's so steep, a lot of just the regular dirt that's not clay falls from the top and will really start to mess with the kind of stuff we're harvesting up here. So what we want to do is start down at the bottom and clear off kind of this dry, maybe a little bit crummy stuff first. Take our pottery. So we're also going to be mixing it with a little bit of cow dung most likely, and then a little bit of chaff. And chaff is the part of the wheat stalk that people don't eat. So what we're going to do is cut that up really fine and put that into the pottery. What that's going to help us do is it's going to help us regulate the temperature of the pottery, so when we fire it, it's not going to crack. But also in a more practical sense, using pottery, it'll conduct heat better. So for stuff like cooking, for stuff like holding hot liquids, it won't be as fragile. And that kind of gives it that heat bubble, I guess, or heat pocket. So there's a lot of steps that go into this pottery production. This is step one, is gathering the clay. The next thing we need to do is break up these little balls into fine little sediment, into little basically dust, break it all apart, and then mix it together with the cow dung, some gravel, maybe some sand. And then what we have to do is let that sit for about a week in water so that it gets nice and absorbed, so everything separates out properly. Once that has sat around for about a week, then we can start making the pots. And we'll be making the pots by hand. We don't have any sort of potting wheel. After the pots are made, we have to let them sit and dry. So because there's so much moisture, if we throw them in the fire right away, they're going to crack and break. So that takes about another 3 to 7 days to let those pots dry, and then they'll be put into the fire. So right now we're looking at about a 2-week process from gathering this clay to having a nice final